All right, Lawyer Talk. You got questions, I got answers. That is Lawyer Talk Q&A. Check us out at lawyertalkpodcast.com. You can submit a question at lawyertalkpodcast.com or leave a comment in the socials or wherever you happen to catch our content. And I'll try to comment on the comments, which is really like answering questions. You'll get it. This question actually came on the website, lawyertalkpodcast.com. And Andy is asking, can someone get a disorderly conduct, battery, or misdemeanor expunged, taken off their record? If so, how? Sort of a broad question. And these are questions that I got to be a little careful because this isn't legal advice. But I'll tell you generally how the process works here in Ohio. And it may be different in other states. In Ohio forever, we only had something called record sealing. And the way I always described record sealing was you would stick the records in an envelope, pull them out of the public view, stick them in an envelope, put them in a safe, lock the key or lock it with a key, and then only certain people would get the key or combination to the safe. And those people might be police in certain investigations. It might be if you've got a professional license, et cetera, et cetera. Recently, in the last couple of years, Ohio updated their law, and now we have something called expungements. Expungements are different. The idea of an expungement is the record is shredded, gone. It's not put in a safe. Nobody has the key. Nobody has the combination, and the records are gone. Both ways in Ohio, the law says you can treat it like it never happened, although at least with respect to a lot of things, like everything, like a lot of things, the exceptions can swallow up the rule. For instance, I had to sit for the bar exam back in the 90s, and in order to take the bar exam, I had to fill out a questionnaire or an application for my own character and fitness. Did I have the quality character, and was I fit to become a lawyer? And then after you submit that application, I had to meet with a committee of people and who are lawyers, and they would say, well, how are you? Who are you? And if I had prior convictions, even traffic violations as a juvenile, I had to disclose them. And the disclosure mandate included things that had been sealed or expunged. So even if I had a record that had been sealed, even if I had a record that had been expunged, I had to tell them about it. And to the extent that I had documents, I would have had to include them. And then to the extent it was only sealed here in Ohio, I would sign a release letting the bar examiners get these documents. And it's probably the same with other types of, I know it's the same with other professions. Teachers are a big one. Anybody working at schools are a big one for reasons that you might expect. Anyway, back to the question. Disorderly conduct here in Ohio, absolutely. That is something that can be expunged or sealed, provided you don't have too much on your record already. Battery. So I remember not knowing what battery was, but battery is an assault. There's two types of assault. One is a verbal assault. Another is a touch. The touch becomes the battery. But I think we all sort of lump that into assault. That gets a little dicey. You can probably get an assault conviction in Ohio, a misdemeanor assault conviction expunged. But if it's a domestic violence, so an assault on a family or household member, you're going to be up against a wall on that. And then misdemeanor is another qualification they're asking about. Both misdemeanors and felonies here in Ohio can be expunged or sealed, but not all of them. As I've already talked about domestic violence, that can't always be sealed or expunged. And then crimes of violence, generally speaking, as felonies, no go. You can't get them sealed or expunged. Any sort of sexual related offense, no go. Higher level felonies of the first and second degree in Ohio at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 being the highest, 5 being the lowest. 1s and 2s in Ohio generally no go on expungements or sealing. And then the final part to the question is, how do you do it? Well, we have a process. It's like a lot of stuff in court. We have an application. Some courts have forms. You can just fill them out. What we like to do is create our own form and supply a memoranda in support of expungement. Generally, and this is very general, what we try to establish, what the law requires us to establish, is that my client's interest in having this record expunged or sealed outweighs any governmental interest in keeping the record intact. And you can imagine what we might argue. So I often will tell my clients, look, give me some background. I'll get to know my clients a little bit. Tell me about yourself. What are you trying to do that this record is preventing? And in the case of a felony conviction, it's obvious. Anybody who's ever tried to rent an apartment, get a job, the felony is a huge anchor around your neck and sometimes just a flat-out disqualifier. So that's easy. My client has applied for several jobs at Acme, whatever, or this service industry, whatever it would be, and was denied because of the felony conviction or not even considered. He's got no other records since this time. And that obviously the state's interest in keeping and maintaining the record is minimal because my client doesn't have anything else going on in his life. He's doing what he's supposed to do. And then finally, there's the other criteria that we look at is there's usually a waiting period, and that depends on what you're trying to expunge, where you're trying to do it, whether it's a felony or misdemeanor. But the good news is Ohio has gotten a lot more lax. When I started back in the 90s, if you even had an OVI on your record, not only could you not get your OVI or DUI expunged or sealed, that precludes you from every other thing getting it sealed. So, I mean, it was brutal. That's all been relaxed, and life is a lot better if you're trying to clean up your record, turn over a new leaf, and move on to the next steps. If you need help, this is my wheelhouse. This is what I do upstairs. Check us out, palmerlegaldefense.com. So we are taking your questions here, lawyertalkpodcast.com. Leave us a comment, send us a question. I'll do my best to cover it off the record, on the air, at least until